So, today we're going to dig into a really surprising piece of news that has a lot of people talking. It's based on an article from the Wall Street Journal by Ed Frankl, which came out on February 5th, 2026. The headline is pretty telling. German factory orders unexpectedly climb as industrial sector's rebound digs in. Let's break down what this actually means for Europe's biggest economy.
All right, so here's how we're going to break this all down. We'll kick things off with a big surprise that nobody saw coming. Then, we'll zoom out a bit to look at the tough road Germany's industry has been on lately. That'll give us some context. After that, we're going to dive into the numbers, figure out what's really driving this change, and then, talk about what to look for next.
Okay, first up, the headline event. A huge, and I mean huge, unexpected turnaround for Germany's industrial sector. This one really came out of left field.
Now, check this out. This is what's so wild. Economists, the experts, they were predicting a drop. They thought orders would fall by about 1.3%. But what actually happened? A massive climb of 7.8%. That's not just a little bit better than expected, it's a completely different story altogether.
So seeing a gap that big just begs the question, right? What in the world is going on here? What's really behind this incredibly positive data?
Now, to really get why this jump is turning so many heads, you've got to understand the backstory. For a while now, Germany, which everyone calls Europe's economic engine, has been having a really rough go of it.
And man, this timeline really lays it all out. First, they were feeling the squeeze from more competition from China. Then their famous car industry had a really tough time making the switch to electric vehicles. And to top it all off, they got slammed with crazy high energy prices after Russia's invasion of Ukraine. It's been like a perfect storm of problems. All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty of the numbers and see how they paint this picture of a possible comeback. We've got to look past that big headline number to see what's really happening underneath.
But first, real quick, what are factory orders? It's just a way to measure demand for things that are made in factories. You can think of it as a sneak peek into the future of the economy. These orders today become the stuff being built tomorrow, so it's a great way to check the pulse of the industrial sector.
So here it is again, that headline number, a 7.8% climb. What makes this so powerful isn't just that it's positive, it's that things are actually speeding up. The growth is accelerating.
And this wasn't just some random one-month blip. The data shows a pretty clear pattern. Factory orders have now been climbing for 4 months straight. That suggests something more solid might be taking hold here. But, and this is a big but, the good news isn't spread evenly everywhere. The growth was really strong in areas like metals and machinery, but Germany's iconic car sector, orders there actually went down. So it's a bit of a mixed bag.
So that makes you wonder, right? If the car industry is actually struggling, then what's pushing everything else up? What's really fueling this recovery?
Well, according to the economists looking at this, the big answer is a term called fiscal stimulus. All that means is that the government is stepping in and spending money to give the economy a jolt, especially when times are tough. And here's exactly how it worked in Germany. The government opened up the floodgates on a ton of investment money. We're talking up to $1 trillion, and pointed it towards big projects like defense and infrastructure. All that spending created huge orders for German factories right at home, and boom, the factory order numbers shot up. And the experts are definitely noticing. As economist Klaus Vistisen said, this data really backs up the idea that the German economy is finally kicking into gear after being stuck in a rut for a year, and a lot of that is thanks to this government spending. When you dig into the numbers a little more, you see a couple of interesting things. Orders from inside Germany grew the fastest, which makes sense with the stimulus. But there were also good signs from other countries, with orders from outside the Eurozone jumping by almost 10%. And a really key detail is that a lot of this growth came from massive projects, the really big ticket items. Okay, so let's tie this all together. What does all this surprising news really mean for the future? And what should we be taking away from this? Let's just boil it down to 3 simple takeaways. First, the event. German factory orders blew past expectations with that 7.8% surge. Second, what it means. It looks like the government stimulus plan is actually working to jumpstart demand. And third, what's next? Keep an eye out for the industrial production numbers. That's what will tell us if all these new orders are actually being turned into real things. And that leaves us with the big final question. Is this a real sustainable turning point for Germany, or is it just a temporary shot in the arm from government spending?
I guess only time and the next round of data will really tell us the answer.